Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's Friday, and it's our Stories of Hope. I'm so excited to introduce you to our first guest, Tracy Desjardins, and she's a national board certified health and wellness coach. She is a mind-body eating coach, a fitness professional, and the international best-selling author of The Diet-Free Diva. Welcome to the show today, Tracy Desjardins.
Hi, Kornelia. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. I think it's really perfect right now with what it is that you're doing out in the world to help people live, to be in freedom in their relationship to food, and how we're learning to release some of the old patterns and habits and the things that we've lived for all the years of diets in order to stay well, or in order to look good, or in order to release the extra weight. So when we're talking about a diet-free diva, what exactly is a diet-free diva?
Oh, it's such a great question, and I love answering this. So, a diet-free diva is a woman or a man, frankly, could be a diet-free dude. My husband loves my book, and he said, this is for men as well. Is someone who has discovered the missing clues for them that reside within them that provide them with a sustainable pathway with healthy habits, mainly their relationship with food and body, that brings them a continuum of success that works for them in such a way that they're not going on again, off again with restrictive diets that are typically short-lived. And when they have that extra mental energy, it's really refreshing, and they can then do what they were meant to do by being born here on Earth. And it's really important to recognize that chronic dieting, food restricting, all the things requires a lot of mental energy. And I lived over 3 decades of my life in that war. And I discovered I have all this extra space when I realized what I was missing after all these years. And now I'm doing one of the things that I love to do, which is being on your show right here, speaking and writing. So a diva is, and a dude, diet free, it really means, what do you do with that extra mental energy when you're not fighting with food and body? And that is living on purpose.
Yeah, that's so great. That's so great. I find that too. Like when I'm not thinking about food, when I'm free from, when then I have more creativity. I have more time to be creative. Like you're saying, writing, that's being creative. You're not consumed by thinking about what your next meal is going to be, or restricting your meal and then feeling bad about it or whatever. So what got you started there? So you're health and nutritious coaching, your wellness coaching, you are a fitness expert. So this is all the nutrition, the exercise, it's all combined. How did you get started with all of this?
Yeah. Well, I was an overweight child, slightly overweight child. And at the age of 12, I'm going to streamline my story here. I decided to take on my first diet because I believed what culture was telling me. I had to fix my body and I had to be thinner. So I bought into that. And that's what started a 3+ decade long battle with food and body, where I developed binge eating disorder before it was ever diagnosed as a thing. And anybody out there who's listening who has struggled with binge eating disorder, we really labeled ourselves as not having enough willpower. And there's a lot of shame involved there. So I never talked about this. Nobody really knew I had this problem. But I was active. I enjoyed aerobics classes. That was my thing. joined a gym at an early age. My dad took me and we played music and jumped up and down. And that led me into like, I really like doing this with people. That was part of me feeling alive in my body. And I still do that. I ended up working in fitness full time as a personal trainer, owned my own studio for a short time. And all that time I was ping-ponging between this restrictive plan and that restrictive plan, the clean eating plans, the Weight Watchers, all the things. I've tried most of them. And it was always a short-lived thing. And my weight went up and down by like 10, 20 pounds. And it just was an exhausting thing. When pandemic hit, I slid back into my binge eating disorder like I had in high school and my early adulthood. And it really scared me. So I took my hands off the wheel, asked God for help. Like, I'm missing something here. I'm out of tools. Help me. I was at my lowest of all lows. Literally, I was binging on Ben and Jerry's, going to the grocery store like everybody else to get our toilet paper and all things. And I'm getting my Ben and Jerry's. And that was dinner every night for about 2 weeks. And this was early on. I had to shut my business.
Wow.
And that is when I discovered, you know what? I officially have to deal with this. I have to deal with this. And during the quiet time in pandemic, I got the therapy I needed. I found the right books. I found the right community. I hired my own coach and got my fitness ego out of the way. And I learned what I was missing. And you mentioned in the beginning of our interview something about old patterns, antiquated patterns, limiting belief thinking. And that is one of the things that was holding me down. So I did a lot of mindset work, a lot of belief shifting, a lot of unlearning and relearning. And when I discovered the clues. I now have an amazing relationship with food. I don't obsess with over my body. I also don't get on the scale. And I decided, that health coach certification that I got back in 2013, I want to take that out of the closet here and I want to do something with that. So I became a national board certified coach, wrote my book, and I said, other women have to hear this message. I closed my personal training studio down. I still teach aerobics classes because I love it so much, very part-time, but I do this work full-time now because I think there is a message that needs to be put out there into the world. A lot of people eat for emotional reasons and don't understand why. And that was me for a really, really, really long time in a problematic emotional eating way. And that's like my baby. So I help women all over the world with their challenges with sugar, emotional eating, and chronic dieting roots that are playing on replay in their mind and don't even realize it.
Yeah, so there's so many things you said, but the last thing you said about the emotional eating, you helping women all over the world with being able to get to the roots, being able to get to the bottom of it, like why do we do that? And once we do that, once we stop that emotional behavior, once we stop that emotional eating, then we ultimately become free and we're not a slave to our relationship to food anymore. Would you say that?
I would. And, to further dive a little further with emotional eating, like Easter Sunday is this Sunday. I'm going to have some sweets and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to enjoy that chocolate. That's emotional eating, happy eating. I'm talking about to further define those of us that are using food impulsively and we'd rather not to cope with unwanted, heavy, negative, uncomfortable emotions. That's typically the work that I do with my clients. They're coming to me like, why am I binging on sugar on the weekends? I eat so healthy. I exercise. I'm very driven. I do well in my business, all these things, but I can't figure this thing out. I keep eating this food when I'd rather not. And I help them discover the root causes for those particular issues. And we're all different. It's really fascinating. And we find solutions for that, but we sit with that and we massage it and we analyze it and we break it down. And I've created, because I've heard of this problem so frequently with emotional regulation using food, and they'd rather not do that. So I created emotional eating rescue meditative audio, which is 10 minutes that'll take you out of, I need chocolate, nervous system deregulation, into calm regulation. Relaxation, so we can then make the right decisions to attune to our real needs in that moment, rather than eating the cupcake, rather than saying, screw it, I'll start over tomorrow. That was me for like 35 years. Screw it, I'll start over tomorrow. And it feels really good to not say, I'm going to start over tomorrow. That is what I help my clients do. And there's one of the nuggets of freedom is not ever having to start over tomorrow.
That's
And
so good.
Yeah.
That I love that so much. Not start over tomorrow. I mean, because a lot of us we think that way. We'll start it tomorrow. We'll start it on Monday, and we always put it off into the future and never get to what it is here that needs to be that we need to get to today. And so that's the part where you help people with. I love that you're doing that emotional. What did you call it? Emotional eating, emotional freedom.
It's an emotional eating rescue meditation, and I guide you with my voice, scripted, step by step, how to examine what's going on in our thoughts
Mm,
and how to step into a place of peace by thinking about certain things I'm asking you to consider. Now, you can do this anywhere. You can tap into it. You download it. You can listen to it in your car. You can listen to it when you're in your waiting in line to pick up the kids, in the grocery store, wherever you feel like I'm coming off the rails, at work at 4 p.m. Tap into your headphones. You get your staff going crazy. I'm starting to feel like I'm coming unglued and the vending machine is calling me, whatever. That's the time where I take you out of that impulsive. Anybody listening in, if you can identify with this, you know when you're about to take one foot over the line of I'm going to go to the vending machine. I help you keep both feet and both eyes on the other side of that line so you can discover what you really need in that moment. And I walk you through some breathing. Oxygen always helps us to calm down, but sometimes we need some prompting. I still need prompting with that. And I just think it's a real thing because we're busy people, and it's just so easy to get caught up in the grind of life. And then we wonder why we keep eating the thing that we said at 8 a.m. that morning that we're not going to do.
yeah.
Need something else to meet those needs.
Yeah, it's so good, Tracy. I want to be able to let the audience know where they can find you, where they can look you up on your social media handles. And I also want to let the audience know, for those of you that are watching this replay on YouTube, you're going to see Tracy's going to come back and she's going to post her meditation that she was just talking about underneath in the comments, and you'll be able to get that within a week from this show today. So we'll just give it to you like that. We'll do it that way. So let us know your social media handles, Tracy.
Yeah. So on Facebook, Tracy L. Desjardins on Facebook, Instagram, Diet Free Divas. And by the way, actually, it's the Diet Free Diva on Instagram. But if you go to my website at the top and you click freebies, you can get my emotional eating rescue today. So it's
Excellent.
theholisticdivas.com. Go up to freebies, and you'll be taken to a page and you'll see the emotional eating rescue meditation for anybody that's interested in that. And you can also find a link to purchase my book, and I have a free workbook that goes along that helps you work through a lot of what I mentioned plus more.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, the whole piece in 2020. I mean, the fact that you got to you wanted to get to the root of why you were eating emotionally at that time. It was so perfect because you said people were going to get their masks, you were going for your Ben and Jerry's, you were going for those things. And
Yeah.
so obviously whatever was going on emotionally for you at that time, that was what was important for you to get to so that you can now help others.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Tracy, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I wish you many blessings in the future. And maybe you'll come back again for a longer conversation.
Oh, I'd be honored. That would be a lot of fun, Cornelia. This has been wonderful, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I have Cheri Dixon here. She's the owner of Cheri Dixon Consulting LLC, which she started after leaving a 28-year career in public education. Cheri now lives in Houston, Texas, transitioning there from a small town in Iowa after college. Cheri loved the work she did with turnaround schools and continues to take that work into businesses in the world, helping businesses scale their organization to the next level. In addition, Cheri believes that the leader is crucial to any organization and supports leaders to develop their skills to strive for excellence in this global society. Cheri's also an international best-selling author, podcast host, and has an award-winning online talk show. Woohoo! When she's not working on building her business, she loves spending time with her daughter, her chocolate lab pit bull Oakley, and running as she prepares for her yearly half marathon. Wow, wow, wow. Welcome to the show today, Cheri.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
So great. So, you all the training that you've gotten as being a public educator, right, and working within the school systems, do you think that is all the things that prepared you for what you're doing now?
I think yes. I mean, I had some amazing opportunities. I taught in the classroom for just about 5 years and then started moving into administration pretty quickly. I took my first principal position in my early 30s. And so I've had 16 years as the principal, working with different schools in different communities, 2 different states. I actually went back to Iowa for a little while and ran a school there. And so everybody does stuff a little bit different, right? And I
Yeah,
always believe that we never stop learning, because if we stop learning, then we might as well just,
give it
think
up.
inevitable, right? And so but I have been fortunate. When I started this journey, I came here with my ex-husband, and he didn't work always. We had some challenges in that area. And so in order to move into these positions, I had to find programs that I could afford. And I ended up finding a program where my entire master's was paid for through a special program at the University of Houston. And it was amazing. Not only did it prepare me to take over schools, but it prepared me in the line of business, because Houston Independent School District at the time hired business master's program people to run their schools. And so they wanted to have this good balance for their principals. And then I was able to find a program that actually sent me to Harvard University to study for a summer. And I was able to learn with other urban school leaders and just hear how people were developing their programs and executing. And then the networking opportunities, the mentorship opportunities I've had along the way have been truly amazing. But I also have to say this: formal education is great. I think it's better when you actually get to go out into the field and learn and do and experience and make the mistakes, because you usually learn from those failures. But also being a mom has taught me a lot about leadership, because I always kept in the back of my mind, if my daughter were, so to speak, this student at this school, or if my daughter were this employee here, how would I want the leader to treat her, to make sure that everybody in the organization treated her? And I think that that kept me grounded in making sure that leadership's all about people. And we have to remember that and build those relationships for
Yeah.
sure.
And you're also teaching your daughter about uh how how to be a future leader by what you're modeling to her now and what you're showing to her now, what's important. Because really, when it comes down to it, our children are our future leaders on this planet.
Mhm.
And so the more that we empower them with what is a leader and what we value and honor in leadership, it's an important piece, and that is a legacy and gifts that we can give to them today.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that, because she just found out she's a teacher. She's not
Oh,
in the classroom any longer. She's in a position where she is helping coach teachers and helping do interventions with children. But she was just asked to serve as in an administrative role in summer school this year. So she's on mama's path for sure.
oh, she is. That's so great. I'm really curious about the turnaround schools, like
Mhm.
the turnaround schools, like, uh, what was that like? The children that were in the turnaround schools, you being part of that, what was all that about?
Well, I will tell you, it was the hardest job you'll ever love. I promise that. But really, I kind of stumbled upon it by accident. When I was first placed into my first position as a principal, I was actually the assistant principal there the prior year. And I was with somebody new that they had brought in, and the school was already struggling. It was in a community that was very diverse, very high population of low socioeconomics, and the trajectory of the school building was not on the right path. But then this person came in and just totally messed a lot of things up and was removed halfway through the school year. And so I had to step up and step in and kind of muddle the way through, for the remainder of the year. And I learned a lot about that because, again, I built everything on it's all about relationships. And the staff and the students and the community had already gone through so many ups and downs through that year that I knew I had to come in and strategically think about how I was going to move forward. But what that did for me is it helped build the trust factor. And it helped build the relationship to where I could say, okay, I get that this is the way you've done it forever, but it's not working. Trust me. Let's try something new. And I could push them out of their comfort zone a little bit so that we could start to make change. And we were able to make change pretty quickly. And then I went through a divorce partway through my career, and I decided it would be great for me to go back to Iowa for a while. And I took a school there, and I was only at that school for a couple of years. And that school was a little bit different. It was in Des Moines, Iowa, and it was just north of the downtown area. So again, very diverse, very low socioeconomics. However, we had a very high population of refugee families. And although I worked with a lot of immigrant families here in Houston, I did not ever have the experience of working with refugee families. So I had to really dig deep and think about those trust factors again and those relationships, because I needed those students to be able to come to school, know that school was important. It wasn't a place to fight and run and do all of the things. And I needed to help the teachers understand how to build those relationships with the community as well. So it put me out of my comfort zone a little bit. But within the 2 years that I was there, we were actually able to develop a partnership with a lot of our families. And they were from Africa, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. I even had one family tell me that they were running from Saddam Hussein, like
Wow.
personally running from him at the time. And so that's pretty significant, right? They had experienced a lot of trauma. They were coming from someplace that the norms, the social norms, the school norms, all of the norms were so different. And so again, it was building that trust factor, being able to know that I had their best interest at heart, that I wasn't going to come in and do something wild and crazy. Because I will tell you this, Des Moines is their biggest city in Iowa. However, it's very much smaller than Houston. So I was considered the big city girl. Even the newspaper came out and interviewed me when I got the position, because here I was transitioning from the big city to Des Moines, and I was like a celebrity for a moment, right? So I had to make sure that they knew I wasn't just coming with all of my big city ideas and thoughts, but actually tailoring everything to that school. And then I did come back to Houston because Houston's really my home. Iowa's a little too cold for me. And so I came back and once again had to come in and do it with another community that was very similar to the previous two. And we really had to build that trust factor here, because that community actually was in a place where there was some physical altercations between staff and families. And that needed to stop, and it needed to stop quickly. Children were running around, running out of the building. That needed to stop immediately because that is a safety concern. And so that school, we did a very quick turnaround. I think because I had a team that now I trusted I could bring with me. I had a lot of experience by this point, but also I had a lot of families that had moved. It was a community a little bit north of my previous community. And a lot of the families were starting to move out of the city. So some of them knew me because they used to be my students, and now they were the parents. So it was
Oh
just
my
kind of
gosh.
yeah, it was kind of an interesting little dynamic. But at that school too, we went through a lot of hardships. We went through Hurricane Harvey, which I don't know if you're familiar with the tragedy of that, but we had over 100 inches of rain, and that school community was affected tremendously. We went through a time where the oil refineries were I don't want to say the word exploding, but they were emitting some chemicals into the air, and so it caused us to not be in school on a regular basis. And then, of course, the pandemic was devastating to all schools.
Oh,
But
yeah.
because of those relationships, we were able to keep moving forward.
And you've already, like, it seems like everything that you've done, all the wisdom, all the learning, everything that all the situations have taught you how to build that trust factor. And you were always able to go back in and access that and then bring that, build that, build that. Well, I think it's just amazing the work that you are doing. What are you currently doing? I know that you have an online award-winning podcast. Tell us about.
Actually, talk show. Podcast isn't award winning yet, but it will be.
Oh, okay. So tell us about that.
Yes. So, as I was starting to transition out of education, I thought, what am I going to do with my life? Right. I was turning 50 and I had a close friend lose her husband unexpectedly. And I just thought life is so short. And I dedicated my time to the schools and I really wanted to give myself some freedoms. And so I thought I'd become a life coach and I wanted to work with women in situations where hard times happen. And even though they happen, it doesn't mean that that's how life has to be. We can still be strong and we can still move forward and we can still make all of our goals and dreams happen. And so I started writing. I became an international bestseller as an author in a book, an anthology. So it wasn't my own solo book, but with 29 other authors. And that actually led to the production company. The publishing company bought the production company, and then they offered us spots to be on a talk show. And I had never imagined that I would do that. I never, ever thought that that would be my wheelhouse, right? But I was already podcasting and I thought, okay, why not? I I can speak publicly. So let's just start having women come on and share their stories. So it's called Confident, Courageous, and Clear with Cheri. It runs through Phoenix TV, but you can catch it on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. And I bring on guests. I bring on women who have had very challenging times. And because of those times, they did not just lay down and say, this is my life now. I'm going to keep moving forward. So I won People's Choice Award for season 1. And I just started season 2 at the beginning of 2024. And I have had some amazing guests on the show. I tell people all the time in the introduction, get your tissues out because you're going to need them for this one. But women are out there and they want to share their story because they've overcome those challenges and now they're helping others do the same. And so it's just been really amazing. So that's one of my projects that I have through that production company. And then I have a documentary releasing on
Ooh.
on April 1st. It'll be 8 episodes, and it's called Somewhere on the Spectrum, Navigating the World of Autism.
Mm.
And my team and I put together this series to be able to help families who are educators or even the diagnosed, who are enduring some of these challenges with this diagnosis, and they don't have answers always. They have a lot of questions. They don't see all of the great things that people on the spectrum or the neurodiverse can do, but it just always feels like it's a death sentence or a mourning when your child is diagnosed. And I experienced that as a principal. And so this has been building since 2006, and it's finally coming to reality.
That's so good. I personally have a person that's close to me that has a son that has autism. So this is going to be great when this comes out. Definitely stay in touch with us and let us know when that comes out so we can help you even get the information out more. Like
Oh,
when
I
it's
love that.
available. And I want to come on your show because I tell you what, the last I mean, I've overcome a lot of things in my life. I've done a lot of things, but I want to say that the last um, 50, since February 2nd, I personally have gone through tremendous challenges all at once. Like boom, boom, boom. 3 major things that happened all at one time. And I definitely felt like, wow, if I was a person that hadn't gone through many challenges in my life, or personal development, or have a good strong spiritual source, know who I am, I don't know if I would have been able to show up for these events the way that I did. So I think I would love to come on your show and tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we can have
absolutely.
Ashley put us in contact, and I'd love to come on. And then let's tell the audience again on how they can uh become a guest or learn more about your podcast.
For sure. So you can find me at, I have all the links on my website, cheridixonconsulting.com. And you can see the books that I've written in. I have a couple books coming out this year still that are going to be just as amazing. And once you reach out to me, you can see there too that my email is there. Once you email me, we connect. You can let me know that you'd like to be a guest on the show or on the podcast. The podcast is Strong Inside and Out, where I talk about being a strong woman. And I would love to have you because I'm always looking for amazing stories to share. And you're right. If we don't have the right people encouraging us, or we don't see the people that other people can do it, we would not move forward, right? If we don't have a good sense of self. And that's the whole premise of the show.
Yeah, I think that's so great. I love how this all came together for you, all the work that you're doing out there in the world to help, encourage people, encourage women to really stand in their strength, to stand in their courage, and to create and live the life of their dreams. Because so many of us, we've given up on them, and we've put them on the back burner, and we've maybe we were in a partnership or a relationship, and we're living someone else's dream instead of our own.
Mhm.
There's so many things that it's important that we say yes to our dreams, say yes to who it is that we are becoming, and living here and living life full out.
Mhm. Absolutely. You're right. And that is my mission, to help women all over the world make sure that they build that life that they love, the one that they can be proud of, and the one that they can be excited to wake up to each day.
When you guys have the documentary come out, when it's ready or whatever, will you come back on, and will you reach out to Ashley and come back on? Will you remember to reach out to Ashley, come back on, and
Absolutely.
we'll have you on another time so that we can help you promote and get this message out?
Absolutely. It's a big one. So I would love to.
Okay, all right. Well, Cheri Dixon, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was lovely meeting you. Very inspired by all of your work. We're going to take a break on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to our next guest, Sasha Greenidge. She is a certified mindset coach that uses Gene Keys. I don't know if you've heard of Gene Keys, to help women who are ready to stop seeking validation from literally anyone and everyone outside of themselves. She helps guide women to go all in on themselves and no longer be codependent and tethered to not feeling enough. Welcome to the show today, Sasha.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. You have no idea.
Oh, it's so awesome. I just want to ask you, like, right off the bat. So, I know what the Gene Keys are, but a lot of people probably don't know. So, did you become a certified practitioner there with the Gene Keys?
So not yet. So through my right now, I'm actually going to start going through the guide program. So there's some prerequisites that I have to go through first. But my coach has been using it with us, Human Design and Gene Keys, for business. But like anything, when you work on yourself, it has like a massive effect on everywhere else in your life. But there are certain avenues where I really want to go deeper. So studying more the Venus sequence part of it and things like that are so much easier to kind of help people relationship wise. So just going in a little deeper, but the activation sequence that you first start with, your core four is what we call them, is 70% of who we are with also our profile. And I just think that's massively important. And it just has our purpose, our life's work, everything that we're here to do. So it takes the guesswork out of everything. And I think it's such a loss for the people that just don't have that and they don't know that. And it's just something that if you choose to take that on and bring it into your life and embrace it, it has shifted my life and my relationships with people immensely.
How have you gotten, I have to sneezing. Uh, my producer and I, excuse me, we were talking earlier about sneezing. It's like a sneeze. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Uh, how have you gotten to know yourself through the Gene Keys? How have you gotten to know yourself and who are you?
Well, we're always very familiar with our shadows, but now I have a name for each of them. Literally, it's right there in the Gene Keys, all of my shadows. So I knew I felt certain things, and we're always very intimate with those shadows. It's just our, it's what we call our noisy roommate that likes to talk to us and say, "Oh no, don't do that." So I'm very intimate with that part of myself. The part that I wasn't familiar with was the gift and the city. So when in your gene keys, there's shadows, your lowest frequency, your gift, which is where we strive to kind of be, and your city is your highest self. And we've all touched that depending on a situation or, if we were determined to really do something and massively shift our life, or we had to, we've probably touched that. But if I you start to study yourself, and it wasn't just looking at the negative. I was able to see what my potential was. There was names, again, like there's a name for the shadows, there's a name for your gift and your city. And it was just like, oh, I've done that before. And you start to see where you've done that. But now you're more intuitive. You're letting your intuition kind of take over, which is something I blocked a lot. And now I'm so much more open to listening. Oh, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't align with me. Or, and I more so I'm almost like a surgeon now, where I'm very laser focused on what I do, whom I'm speaking with,
Mhm.
things like that. And I don't really veer so much. Whereas before I was people pleasing. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, I want, I want everybody, I want all your listeners to like me. It just isn't. And I have to be me. And now I'm really stepping into this person, this beautiful woman who just wants to reach out and help. I have a big job learning my gene keys. I always said, oh, I want to help people, which is why I was in education, which is why I got a bachelor's degree in psychology. But I didn't know how big that call was. And it's really, being a bridge to kind of leading women to finding their purpose. That's huge. And it's going to take a lot of, um, really listening and following a lot of my intuition and just following my what it is that I'm here to do. It's like a map essentially of what I'm here to do, and it's not really going to matter what everybody else thinks. And that for me was really hard because that's what got me in trouble my entire life. Is
Yeah.
just that people pleasing tendency, and not knowing what I wanted out of life.
Yeah. You're so clear. I just want to say you're so clear, and I can feel your passion, and I love what you're doing. You as a young woman, out there inspiring others to step into what it is that you're passionate about, what you're teaching, what you've learned about yourself, how it's helped you, and how it will help others. And then hopefully the people that you magnetize to you, the people that you attract to you, will then flower and blossom also the way that you have. I just think that's so wonderful.
Thank you.
I also love what you said, that you are a surgeon. You're like a surgeon.
Yeah.
Just very laser focused on what it is that you're, carving, should we say,
Yeah.
in your city, the carvings that you're doing in your city. It's so great. I would love to have you come back on the Cornelia Stephanie show to have a longer discussion, and we can focus in on other areas in
Oh, yeah.
more about the gene keys. This is usually a very short time, but it's mainly
Hmm.
to introduce you and also to let the audience know there's hope, that if they're feeling stuck, if they're feeling not certain which way to go, that there's always modalities and tools and resources available to them. The other thing I loved about what in your bio, what you said, that you will guide women to focus in on themselves so that they literally are not looking outside of themselves
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
That's
It's
that's a
the
big deal.
problem with everything that we're doing. And it was, even as a mom or, somebody in a career, it just, we're always looking to what somebody else is doing. And then the caveat to that is they don't even have it together. When you really look deep or you really get to know someone,
Yeah.
they don't have it. And
Yeah.
they are, and I look at other people, we're all different people with a different, gene key design, slash, human design. And it's like, if they haven't really tapped into that, or some people naturally go through this and they're living that, they just have this being about them, and great for them. But for me, who like for 30 something years has not found out like who I am and what I want to do, and is confused and chasing my tail, it's a massive change. And it's like, now you don't have to look at anybody else, because that's not what you're supposed to do. Half the time, it's like, even if people are doing really amazing things, it's just, it's not like, that's not what you're supposed to do. And as even sometimes I look over, I'm like, oh, that's pretty awesome what they're doing. But that's not what you're here to do. This is what you're here to do. We need to go in and do that. And it takes the guesswork, and you're right back on track.
Yeah.
It's a study of
Because
yourself.
yeah, and what you're doing is you're owning your power. You're
Yeah.
not asking for approval or permission from somebody else, like, what do you think about this or whatever. It's like you're giving your stamp of approval first to yourself,
Yeah.
even though, you know, you normally would want to ride somebody else's movie,
Mhm.
coattail. And now you're in your own, and so it's really empowering, and it's encouraging and inspiring. So I want to let the audience know how they can look you up and learn more about you, and then can you also let them know where they can find out more information about the Gene Keys?
So my website is coming soon, but for now on IG, Sasha Harris _ Greenidge. And they can also find me. I believe there's a link to a Calendly where I do basically an overview. I look and do a wheel of life where we do a life assessment to kind of see where you're at. And then I take a look at one gene key, which is a nice taste. And you think, studying that one city and that shadow and that gift, and just getting a taste if this is something, further that we would be a fit for each other. And so it's a really nice clarity call, to kind of assess your life, where you're at, what you want, what you need, things like that. So,
That's so great. That's so
yeah.
great. And then where can people find out more information about the Gene Keys?
You could go to genekeys.com. Richard Rudd has, that's where you can actually get your free profile. I encourage everybody to do that. And then with that free printout and profile, he does have a bunch of things that kind of explain what it is that you're looking at. But I really found it easier to have like a coach or a guide to kind of get me through it. Um, just so you can get started and then start to study yourself. And then I also recommend his book, which has all 64 gene keys, which I read religiously over and over and over again. Um, my specific activation sequence, gene keys, it's something that you study. It's nothing that you're going to read once and be like, oh, that was nice to know. Like, I have notes and tabs, like, this is mine. I'm still like
Yeah.
reading, there's underline highlights, everything. You're studying yourself. You're not studying, like some actor or some other kind of coach and what they're doing. these are your gene keys, you study them, and depending on what the keys are, that's what's applicable to you. It's
With
amazing.
that, with that, everyone, that's it for the Kornelia Stephanie show today. I want to thank you, Sasha, for coming
Thank
on, sharing your wisdom and your brilliance with us. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in, and we'll see you again next time. Take good care. You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.